Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Corecast. I'm your host, Chris Harris, a certified Pilates instructor and personal trainer who's been training clients and teaching group classes for over 17 years. I want to share some of the things that I have learned through my experiences with Pilates, exercise, health, and wellness with you. And in today's episode, we're going to take a look at the benefits of exercise and more specifically Pilates for mental health. We're going to discuss the effects of stress on the mind and body, the connection between exercise and mental health, and then specifically focus on Pilates and its effect on cognitive function and how it relates to mental health. This includes its impact on depression and anxiety, and how it can provide increased self-esteem, confidence, and increased emotional control, and also decrease insomnia. Let's get started. According to NAMI, or the National Institute of Mental Illness, 1 in 5 U.S. adults experience mental illness each year. As of 2019, that's a total of 51.5 million people. 1 in 20 U.S. adults experience serious mental illness each year, and 1 in 6 U.S. youth aged 6 through 17 experience a mental health disorder each year. So how does stress affect the body physically? The body can be affected in many ways by stress. Systems in the body that are particularly affected are the endocrine, the reproductive, gastrointestinal, the nervous, and respiratory systems. Sudden stress can cause tension in the muscles. When that stress is passed, the muscles release and relax. However, long-term stress can cause serious physical effects. When we experience constant stress, our body will go into fight mode. That's part of that fight or flight. And that's an elevated state of guardedness and heightened alert. And it'll show up in our body in many ways. That stress will start causing joint pain, migraine headaches. It causes your breathing to be shallow, which is something we covered in last week's podcast episode. Digestive issues, chronic inflammation of the circulatory system, and long-term issues with the heart and blood vessels. So what is the connection between exercise and mental health? The American Psychiatric Association, or the APA, defines mental health as effectively functioning in productive daily activities such as work or school, cultivating and maintaining healthy relationships, and having an ability to be resilient to change and cope with challenges. Researchers have proven that exercise and being active is not only good for the body, but also for the mind. And there are many reasons why exercise, including Pilates, is good for mental health, including exercise of any kind will provide a mood boost. Physical activity boosts the production of neurotransmitters that fight depression. Exercising reduces that fight or flight feeling that's often experienced by people with anxiety or panic disorders. Fitness can provide a sense of purpose, especially working towards a personal goal such as weight loss. Exercise can play a key role in reducing stress, and it produces a sense of accomplishment and can boost self-esteem. Many times, people like to exercise with others, which leads to an increased social interaction. Many physical health conditions and symptoms, including insomnia, fatigue, and weight gain, can be improved through exercise. So let's look at Pilates. Pilates' effect on cognitive function is a little different. Exercise will slow the decline in cognitive function, which includes thinking, memory, learning, reasoning, and developing new skills. Pilates provides two important factors to help brain health: physical activity and the learning of new skills. It requires you to coordinate your breathing and how your body moves. And the movements become progressively more complicated, and developing more skills is part of a continued practice. It's a proven way to increase cognitive function and slow age-related declines in function and brain performance. As we start to get older, we start to lose the volume in our frontal lobe and hippocampus, which are parts of the brain responsible for cognitive function and memory. Studies suggest that the hippocampus in those suffering from severe depression can be an average of 10% smaller than those without depression. That reduction in the size of the hippocampus is associated with things like Cushing's syndrome, which features several symptoms linked to having too much cortisol, and that's that stress hormone that's in your body. Research has also shown that exercise increases the size of the hippocampus and increases the connections between nerve cells in the brain. This will improve memory and protect the brain against injury and disease. A study from the University of Illinois reported in the Journal of Physical Activity and Health said that people have significantly superior brain function after a mindful movement practice like Pilates in comparison to doing aerobic exercise. That's because the focus and attention that's needed to perform Pilates exercises uses the brain in a more active way by challenging the mind and body simultaneously. As opposed to just running on a treadmill, you have to really think about the movement, the breathing pattern, and kind of integrate all of that together. Pilates has some great effects for things like insomnia. According to the National Institutes of Health, various studies worldwide have shown the prevalence of insomnia in 10 to 30% of the population, and some even as high as 50 to 60%. Many people fall short of the recommended 6 to 8 hours of sleep per night. And while many people turn to medications to treat their insomnia, research has shown that exercise can be just as effective, if not more so, in reducing insomnia. Pilates can be effective in promoting better sleep quality by promoting better mental focus. The breathing elements can also be more restorative to the body, and mindfulness can also help reduce stress, anxiety, and depression, which can be effective in preparing the body for sleep. Joseph Pilates recommended spinal rolling exercises such as the roll-up, which he claimed aided in deeper sleep because of the massaging effect on the spine. It relaxes the nerves. He said, "It is better to be tired from physical exertion than to be fatigued by the poisons generated by nervousness while lying awake." The effects of Pilates and stress are also interesting. According to the American Psychiatric Association, more than 1 in 4, or 26% of people, reported that they anticipated experiencing more stress at the start of 2023, up from 1 in 5, or 20% last year. So stress isn't always a bad thing. It can also be a good thing, and that's called eustress. It can be a motivating factor, such as preparing for a job interview. But it can be overwhelming, and that's called distress, which can cause long-term adverse health effects, some of which we talked about earlier. Excessive chronic stress takes a toll on our mental health. It causes depression, anxiety, panic, and insomnia, like we spoke about. It can also worsen existing conditions. So specifically with Pilates, the effects on depression and anxiety have found researchers studied the connections between Pilates and the reduction in symptoms of both depression and anxiety. And each study measured symptoms at the beginning and then placed participants in a control group or a group that began a regular Pilates practice. Those in the Pilates group saw a measurable improvement in the symptoms, but also increased energy and decreased fatigue. Anxiety symptoms seem to be improved by Pilates in several ways, including relaxing muscle tension, increasing sleep and sleep quality, like we talked about, improving energy, distraction from that negative thinking cycle, improved circulation and blood flow to the brain, and also the breathing exercises help to regulate emotions. And we, again, spoke about that in our last episode. The benefits for depression are similar. One of the major differences is rumination. That's a major characteristic of depression. It's a cycle of negative thoughts that a person can get stuck in, and it's often hard to shake. And the inward focus of Pilates helps to break that cycle and helps to produce endorphins that can help boost mood. Pilates is also very beneficial for developing greater emotional control. It can help you to improve your ability to control your emotions and process difficult or negative feelings. The focus on breathing in Pilates, like we talked about in our last podcast, is one of the most important aspects that relates to emotional control. Breathing is one of the most powerful tools in calming the mind and is used in a wide variety of mental health practices. As we discussed in our last episode as well, breathing patterns can change based on different emotions and situations. So when we're stressed, we tend to breathe more rapidly and shallowly. When we're relaxed, we tend to breathe more slowly and deeply. Pilates can help increase your awareness of the connection between the physical and the emotional through breath and breathing. As you practice Pilates, it can provide you a way to manipulate your breathing to manage your moods and emotions. And it allows you to control your response to situations and how you feel in the movement. Also, breathing, as we know in Pilates, can help increase the effectiveness of the exercise. It oxygenates the blood and can stop people from holding their breath during an exercise, again, as we discussed in our last episode. One of the great benefits for Pilates is it can improve confidence and increase self-esteem. As Joseph Pilates said, through the Pilates method of body conditioning, this unique trinity of a balanced body, mind, and spirit can ever be attained. Self-confidence follows. Establishing an exercise routine and making it a regular habit can boost self-confidence and other related feelings like self-esteem, self-worth, and purpose. Research has consistently shown that having a routine can play an important role in mental health and can help people better manage stress and anxiety. We know that being physically active can represent a shift in habits as well as a major lifestyle change. And simply the act of setting a goal and accomplishing it is a major reason to feel good about yourself. Some of the aspects of exercise and Pilates practice particularly that help to boost mood and increase confidence include the improvement in your overall physical health and feeling of well-being, which leads to feeling better about yourself. You can find out how strong your body is and what it's capable of doing. And the practice of Pilates requires concentration. Participants must really focus on the movements that they're performing. And that concentration brings our mind into a state of presence called mindfulness, which is very beneficial when coping with mental health because it enables us to have a quiet mind. Regular practice improves strength and can change your body composition, which leads to improved self-esteem. You may lose weight, which is also a confidence booster. And your posture will improve. You will have an increased awareness of your body and how it moves, and that can definitely lead to feeling better about yourself, increasing that confidence and positive thinking. The mood-boosting effect, as we discussed earlier, will help improve confidence as well. Trying a new exercise can be intimidating, especially Pilates. There's lots of different equipment that may look pretty intimidating, but tackling and succeeding at a new challenge is extremely powerful and can also help boost that self-esteem. When starting any exercise routine like Pilates, it's important to really start with a small attainable goal, maybe 3 to 4 times a week to start and just help increase your success by just taking those small steps. Focusing on frequency more than duration to start to establish a pattern that can help to form a habit. So maybe you just do, a 10 or 15 or 20 minute practice and build from there. It's more about getting that habit established. Choosing something that is fun and enjoyable can increase the chances that you'll stick with it. And Pilates incorporates a lot of different variety in its exercises. Can use things like props, like the Pilates ring, and different fun elements that can give it a lot of variety and make it enjoyable and fun. The mindfulness element of Pilates and the breathing element can have the benefit of reducing the sympathetic nervous system stress. The National Health Service, or the NHS, states that research suggests exercise may be as effective as antidepressants at reducing the symptoms of depression. While the mental benefits of Pilates have been proven to help improve mood as well as increase confidence and self-esteem, it is not a cure for mental illness. If you are struggling with depression, anxiety, or any other mental health issues, it is important to see your doctor or contact a mental health professional. Regular exercise like Pilates is often encouraged as a supplement to therapy and other treatments. Incorporating physical activity daily and making it a regular habit will help boost your mental health in the short term and for months and years to follow. Pilates can be done solo or in a group. And again, we talked about the benefit of group being that it's social engagement. And with that physical activity, it's really boosts that cognitive and other mental health benefits. I think the words of Joseph Pilates again sum up the belief that emotional health is inextricably linked to physical well-being. Physical fitness is the first requisite of happiness. Thanks for joining me for this week's episode of the Corecast. Make sure to follow the Corecast every week for a new episode. Be sure to visit my website, www.core-fit.com, and that's core with a K, my YouTube channel, Core Fitness AZ, again, Core with a K, and on Instagram at core_fitness_AZ for more information and great resources about Pilates and fitness. See you next time.